Okay, so my story is an interesting one. I come from a very small town, from a place called Newcastle. I grew up predominantly Afrikaans, and the first time I studied in English was when I got into varsity. And varsity for me, step one was actually chef school in Durban. I always enjoyed cooking for people and seeing their reactions when they were truly happy with something. And that's probably the one thing that inspired me to go to chef school. The skills that I thought were very translatable to the kitchen were actually skills that were very translatable to everyday life and even business. And the big thing for me from a chefing perspective is that in that environment, you really have to plan. You need to understand how your day is going to unfold. With that planning, you know that there'll always be a disaster. So something's always going to go wrong. Someone will drop a plate of food at the last second, and you need to step in and sort it out, come hell or high water. And also, it's a very high-pressure environment. So for me, stepping into business from something that may not seem too business-like and that may seem very creatively orientated, it was great for me because the planning part was already ingrained into me, and that really helps with business. Quickly adapting and dealing with disasters in the kitchen is exactly the same as dealing with a corporate disaster or dealing with something at work that's gone wrong. And then finally, I've never been under as much pressure ever again that I was in a kitchen trying to feed 200 people. And that translated directly into business because now I don't flinch. My business journey is an interesting one. I'm very fortunate to be part of a company called Dynamo. They take up most of my time. It's a company that I dearly love, and we do some amazing things. One of the parts of our business is being Twitter's partner in Africa. A few years ago, Twitter wanted to enter the South African market, and they decided that the best way to enter the South African market would be through a local partnership. Why did they choose a local partnership? Because through local partnerships, they get on-the-ground information in terms of how the country and the continent works. And Dynamo from that aspect was just a complete fit. We managed to blow their socks off. They really enjoyed how we saw business and also how we saw doing business on the continent. We're also very fortunate to have operations in Africa, which I think really, really helped us. And through that, and just some really, really hard work, and through an incredible bunch of people, our employees are incredibly special to us, and they are really what makes up the DNA of our Dynamo. I think through that mix of insights, local knowledge, and the incredible people that we have, we managed to clinch the deal with Twitter. In South Africa, we're sitting with a situation where there just aren't enough jobs. The public and private sector right now just really can't deliver on the amount of jobs that we need. And the only solution to that is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship with itself brings some unique challenges because as human beings, when we grow up, we're taught to be, well, actually, we're not even taught. We're just raised to be fearless. You just go at life with reckless abandon, and that's absolutely brilliant. Growing up in a small town, everybody knows what you're up to. So at a very, very early age, you realize that your reputation is the only thing you have. So from a very young age, you actually start to manage your reputation, which in business is an incredibly important thing. Then what's also great from being from a small town is that no doubt it keeps you grounded because you never, well, I guess I do, I never forget where I'm from and I never forget where I started. And sometimes waking up in the morning and just taking some time out to realize where I came from and where I am now, that just adds perspective. And I think the third thing that being from a small town gave to me is just being forever grateful. From humble beginnings, really, really great things can happen. What makes an entrepreneur? Part one is fear is part of your imagination. Fear is not real. There is nothing on the other side of fear. So as an entrepreneur, you need to face that head on. If something goes wrong, it goes wrong. What are the consequences? You can never, ever, ever give up. That is just not part of it. If you're starting a business and you are starting a business for yourself or for your employees or for a cause, you just simply can't afford to give up. The biggest quality of entrepreneurs is that you need to stay curious. You need to stay hungry for knowledge. You need to always want to learn more. You always need to have that inner need to adapt. And with those three sort of beliefs, that fear is not real, that you always need to adapt, and that you can never give up, I think that's the recipe right there. I am a firm believer in the fact that if you don't trust your employees to get their work done remotely, you shouldn't have hired them in the first place. Why do I say this? Because one of the key things in, I guess, a business relationship is trust. And once your employees realize that you actually trust them to get stuff done, that's when employees really feel connected to the business, and that's when employees really, really feel motivated. So I come back to that point. If you don't trust your employees enough to get done what they have to remotely, you shouldn't have hired them in the first place. Ego stops you from achieving quite a few things. For me, the biggest thing is that feedback is absolutely everything. Feedback equals growth. And if you hold on to your ego, you won't be ready to openly receive feedback. Feedback is the one thing that, as a person and even as a business, will be the difference between amazing success and great failure.